Number 5. In June of 2017, a former Uber driver was arrested after police connected him to the murder of a woman who was allegedly shot, then pushed out of a moving vehicle near Southside Estates. The man, Charles Roland, was also charged for tampering with evidence surrounding Victoria Braddock's death. Braddock died on May 15th at a nearby hospital, just hours after her attempted murder had been witnessed by a passerby. The witness told reporters that she saw Braddock get pushed from a moving SUV that was heading north, but that was all she saw. She added it was traumatic, it was a very gory scene, and a lot of people were out. Surveillance video which had been taken from a nearby home showed that the SUV was a black Chevrolet Trailblazer, and further records indicate that Braddock had been inside this exact same SUV previously, nearly a month prior. This led police to Roland's home, where he was arrested for his potential involvement in Braddock's murder, as well as for possession of cocaine and a concealed firearm. Though police had apparently been on Roland's trail for a couple weeks leading up to his arrest. As early as May 16th, a worker from the sheriff's office called into Roland while undercover, asking for a ride with him, though he mentioned that he no longer worked for Uber. Just 9 days later, records indicate that Roland sold his SUV. Police were still able to find the Trailblazer though. They then found trace amounts of blood that Roland had obviously tried to clean, located in areas of the vehicle that would have been inaccessible to occupants. Roland was immediately booked by police at this point with a bond set for $100,000. Soon after, the family of Braddock was contacted and informed that an arrest had been made. The mother stated that she was happy that officers were getting the answers they were looking for. Number 4. In November of 2017, a man by the name of Saipov, an Uber driver, rented a moving truck from his local Home Depot, drove to a densely populated area of New York City, and drove into a crowd of people, injuring many and killing a total of 8 innocent civilians. Authorities say that this man came to the United States back in 2010, since becoming a legal permanent resident. He soon got married and became a driver for numerous companies, eventually settling in with a position with Uber. The most terrifying part of this attack is that Saipov was known by many of his friends and colleagues as being a likable, peacemaking guy. He never had any serious run-ins with the law, and other than a few minor tickets during his driving career, his record was spotless. Following the attack, investigators found a note near Saipov's truck, indicating that he had committed the crime in the name of ISIS, though many believe that this note may have been entirely fraudulent. Investigators have yet to release the contents of the letter in its entirety. Sadly, there's far too much disinformation surrounding the attack to really go into much more detail, though Saipov remains in police custody and is expected to be sentenced to prison for life. Number 3. In May of 2017, 16-year-old Eliza was found crouching behind an air conditioner holding a knife in one hand and a machete in another. She was wearing only a bra and leggings, with a blood-stained Chicago Cubs t-shirt having been found nearby. According to officers at the scene, she refused to surrender herself and cooperate, so she had to be tasered to the ground. She was then arrested for her alleged involvement in the attack and subsequent death of 34-year-old Uber driver Grant Nelson. Grant was described by his family as being a kind soul in a cruel world. Grant had arrived at a local Walmart in the early morning hours of May 30th, when he was brutally attacked by Eliza. She reportedly stabbed him numerous times, beat him, then began hacking at him with a machete. Almost miraculously, Grant managed to escape and run for help, though he sadly passed away from blood loss just moments later. After Eliza was taken into custody, it's reported that she'd been written up more than 40 times during her stay in juvenile detention. Her infractions included pushing, kicking, and biting numerous guards. When she appeared in court, she continued to act out, rarely allowing the judge or other members of the staff to speak. Her public defender stated that she was, quote, doing her best to comply. Eliza is ultimately being charged with first-degree murder and will be tried as an adult. She's expected to serve at least 25 years for her crime. Number 2. In May of 2016, a Kalamazoo Uber driver was accused of gunning down 6 people and severely injuring 2 more in a mass shooting which had been clearly premeditated. Jason Dalton, age 46, faces 16 felony charges, including 6 counts of murder, 2 counts of assault, and 8 felony firearm possession charges. Police allege that when Dalton was working as an Uber driver, working very late hours, he began to shoot randomly at victims in between picking up his riders. The attacks began around 6 p.m. when Dalton shot at a woman 4 times, critically wounding her. She was then sent to a local hospital in serious condition. Following this, Dalton shot at a father and son who were sitting in a vehicle at a local Kia dealership around 10 p.m. Just 15 minutes later, he then killed 4 people and critically wounded a 14-year-old girl at a Cracker Barrel parking lot. Dalton was thankfully found and arrested by about 12:45 a.m. after police found him leaving a bar parking lot. Police say that Dalton had no previous criminal record. He lived in a small ranch home with his wife and 2 children and worked a daytime job as an insurance adjuster while spending his free time working on cars. Dalton's neighbor recalled him as being a very likable guy, stating that she would have never expected this of him. Uber customer Matt Mellon recalled the night of the attacks, stating that he had just received a ride from Dalton about 2 hours before the shootings began. He said that Dalton arrived at his home in a Chevrolet Equinox with his dog in the back. The ride was reported to have proceeded as normal until Dalton received a phone call. He said that following this call, Dalton began driving erratically. He was driving over medians, through lawns, and speeding. Matt says that when the car finally came to a stop, he leapt from the back seat and ran away. Following this report, Uber released a statement saying, "We are horrified and heartbroken at the senseless act of violence in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Our hearts and prayers are with the families of the victims of this devastating crime and those recovering from injuries. We've reached out to the police to help with their investigation in any way that we can." President Obama then later responded that day, stating that the authorities involved did a great job, but that the families still remain shattered. Number 1. In November of 2017, an Uber driver allegedly killed his 2 young children by smothering them in a gasoline-soaked rag as their mother slept in a bedroom upstairs. A jury was informed that the man, Idris Mohammed, carried out the killings during a supposed sleepover, fleeing in his Uber car afterward. He then left his wife to discover the bodies of their children the following morning. The mother says that she found her children with chemical burns to their faces after having been awoken by a smoke and chemical alarm. Mohammed denies murdering either of the children, but does openly admit to being responsible for their deaths. According to police record, rescuers made numerous attempts to revive the children outside of their home, but were unsuccessful. Officers noted that a small fire had been set near the doorway of the home, but that it was easily put out by first responders. An investigator later reported that they found children lying lifeless on the ground outside of the home. Both children were in cardiac arrest. Examination of the scene revealed that the inside of the house had been doused with gasoline. Escape routes had been impeded, with the electricity supply being disabled, and an attempt had been made to release gas by damaging a pipe that supplied a cooker. Allegedly, Mohammed's plan was to start a fire that would engulf the entire home, killing his wife as well as their children, though this clearly didn't go as planned. The mother initially believed that her children were simply asleep, so she carried them both outside to the front lawn, all the while calling for her husband, whom she had yet to realize was not home. According to Mohammed's psychiatrist, Mohammed had expressed that he no longer wanted to live, and felt that things would be better off if both he and his family were dead. Because of this, Mohammed's attorney plans to seek an insanity plea in order to drop Mohammed's charges of murder to manslaughter, though it doesn't appear that his attempts will be successful, as other than his psychiatrist's word, there's no substantial evidence indicating that Mohammed's judgment was in any way impaired. He's expected to face life in prison. In fact, police came across CCTV footage of Mohammed buying the gasoline that he would later use to smother his children. In the footage, he appears to be completely coherent. Take a look. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.